Hi everyone and welcome to today's video. This is level A2, Unit 15, Lesson 1. In this lesson we're going to be talking about using adverbs of frequency. So when we talk about our routines, our habits, we'll be able to say how often or how long, how much we do certain things. All right, so what do you do every day and when do you do it? So this person is sleeping. Hopefully we all sleep every day. This person looks like he's on the bus or the train. Looks like the bus, I think, going to work. This person is getting ready to get on the train, or these people are waiting to get on the train. And these people are riding their bikes. Right, and so which of these things do you do every day? Do you eat breakfast every day? Do you iron a shirt every day? Do you go to bed every day? And do you exercise every day? All right, so now we're going to try to match the pictures to the sentences. So the fisherman uses a net to catch fish. Well, this is a net. So picture number 1 goes with picture D. He dives to collect the oysters. So diving is when you go under the water, so that is picture C. The oyster restaurant is on the beach, that is picture B. And people eat the oysters with lemon, that would be picture A. All right, now we're going to read about Luis. You can either pause the video and read on your own, or you can follow along as I read. This is Luis. He's Mexican, and he lives on the Central Pacific coast. He is an ostionero, or an oyster diver. He has been an oyster diver for the last 10 years. Most of his family are oyster divers too. He usually dives with his brother Jesus. He sometimes dives with one of his uncles and some of his cousins. Luis goes diving 5 days a week from Monday to Friday. Sometimes he goes on Saturday too, but he never dives on Sunday. Sunday is his day off and he always spends it with his family. All right, so are the sentences true or false? And if they are false, then correct them. Luis is Spanish. So that is false. He is Mexican. Luis is an oyster diver. That is true. He dives with his family members. That is true. He sometimes dives with his wife. That is false. It said he sometimes dives with his uncles and cousins. And he works every day of the week. That was false. He works Monday through Friday and sometimes on Saturday, but he never works on Sunday. All right, we're going to read a little bit more about Luis. Um, Again, you can go ahead and pause the video, read on your own, or you can follow along as I read. Luis always dives in the morning, although he doesn't get up early. He usually starts at about 8 a.m. and works for 2 or 3 hours. In his hometown, there are about 10 places that are good for diving. His favorite is called Playa Blanca, and he dives there about twice a week. He takes an inner tube with him. It has a net inside, and he uses it to collect the oysters. When Luis and his brother get back to the beach, they give the oysters to Luis's wife. She operates a temporary restaurant on the beach. It's very simple, with just a sunshade on one table and 4 chairs. Customers come every day to eat the fresh oysters with lime. All right, so now we're going to talk about adverbs of frequency And we use these to say how often we do something. So we have this timeline here. So never is 0. Sometimes would be about 25% of the time. Often would be about 50%. Usually about 75%. And always is 100%. So he usually starts at about 8 a.m. So more often than not, almost all the time. He sometimes dives with one of his uncles. He often goes on Saturdays too. It's about half the time. He never dives on Sundays. It's over here. And he always dives in the morning. All right, here are some more sentences with adverbs of frequency. So she often works late at night. They usually go on vacation in August. I always eat breakfast. I'm always tired in the morning. He never drinks milk. He's often hungry at night. We sometimes talk on the phone, and we're sometimes late for work. All right, now we're going to try to match each how often question with its answer. So, how often do you eat breakfast? Well, that would be B. I never eat it because I'm never hungry in the morning. How often do you do your homework? Well, that would be letter D. I always do it because I'm a good student. How often do you walk to school? Well, that would be C. I sometimes do it, but if it rains, I take the bus. And how often do you exercise? I usually play sports 3 times a week. All right, so now you can answer these questions about yourself. How often do you eat pizza? And you can type your answers. I'll type mine. I would say I sometimes eat pizza. How often do you read a book? I always read a book at night. How often do you watch TV? I always watch TV. How often do you walk to work? I never walk to work. How often do you swim? I never swim. And how often do you travel to another city? I sometimes travel to another city. And you might have different answers, but just answer these based on your own experience. All right, so the position of the adverbs or where they go in the sentence. So with a positive verb, you put the adverb before the verb. So you usually eat at 7 p.m. With a negative verb, you put it, again, you still put it before the main verb, but after the negative helping verb. So I don't usually eat at 7 p.m. And then with a question, you use a form of do or does at the beginning. Do you usually eat at 7 p.m.? So really, to make a question, all you're doing is adding do or does here at the beginning of the sentence. So he often wakes up before 5 a.m. He doesn't often wake up before 5 a.m. And then does. he often wake up before 5 a.m. So, but we don't use all adverbs and all verbs. So we would we wouldn't say does he never do his homework. The adverb here would be ever. Does he ever do his homework? And adverbs can appear in different positions, especially in spoken English. She doesn't travel often, so you can put it here in certain cases. All right, so now complete the statements with an adverb of frequency, and more than one answer is possible. So go ahead and pause the video and you can restart when you're ready to see the answers. Okay, so for this one, I would probably say she always eats breakfast. She thinks it is the most important meal of the day. You might also say usually. Number 2, he never watches horror films because he doesn't like them. They usually or always, you could use either one of those, buy food on the weekend because they don't work on Saturday or Sunday. You could either say always or usually rains in winter and it's also very cold. I don't always or usually get up before 8 a.m. I don't like to get up early. And I either always, usually, or even sometimes get up at 6 a.m. because I start work at 7:30. All right, now we're going to listen to Alex and Susie and try to figure out what they're talking about.
I'm tired all the time.
Me too, but I don't know why.
Well, what time do you usually go to bed?
I always go to bed at 10:30.
10:30? I never go to bed before midnight, and sometimes I go to bed at 2 a.m.
2 a.m.? I'm not surprised you're tired all the time.
Well, I usually get up at about 8 a.m. What about you?
I get up at 6:30 every morning, so I get about 8 hours of sleep.
I usually get between 6 and 8 hours.
But sometimes I don't sleep very well. I find it hard to get to sleep, and sometimes I wake up during the night.
I always go to sleep right away. As soon as my head touches the pillow, that's it. And I never wake up during the night.
Lucky you! What's your secret?
Well, I never drink tea or coffee in the afternoon. I think that helps. Do you?
Oh yes, I drink about 5 cups of coffee a day to help me stay awake.
Well, that's not a good idea.
Maybe you're right. I think you just need to go to bed earlier.
And you just need to stop drinking so much coffee.
Okay, so they are talking about, or they are discussing their sleeping habits. All right, we'll listen again and we'll fill in the blanks with the adverbs of frequency that they use.
I'm tired all the time.
Me too, but I don't know why.
Well, what time do you usually go to bed?
I always go to bed at 10:30.
10:30? I never go to bed before midnight, and sometimes I go to bed at 2 a.m.
2 a.m.? I'm not surprised you're tired all the time.
Well, I usually get up at about 8 a.m. What about you?
I get up at 6:30 every morning, so I get about 8 hours of sleep.
I usually get between 6 and 8 hours.
But sometimes I don't sleep very well. I find it hard to get to sleep, and sometimes I wake up during the night.
I always go to sleep right away. As soon as my head touches the pillow, that's it. And I never wake up during the night.
Lucky you! What's your secret?
Well, I never drink tea or coffee in the afternoon. I think that helps. Do you?
Oh, yes. I drink about 5 cups of coffee a day to help me stay awake.
Well, that's not a good idea.
Maybe you're right. I think you just need to go to bed earlier.
And you just need to stop drinking so much coffee.
All right, this is the Alvarez family, so answer these questions using an adverb of frequency. So how often do they go on vacation? How often do they eat together? And how often do they play sports? And this can be anything you want. It's just practicing making some sentences using an adverb of frequency. All right. Again, you can answer the questions to practice writing some sentences about Matthew and Mary. How often do they go on vacation? How often do they see each other? How often do they play sports? And how often do they eat together? That brings us to the end of today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like, subscribe, and share. And if you have any questions, leave those for me in the comments. Thanks for watching. Bye.